While watching videos to make my last Hyperloop video, I came across this woman who has got to be in the running, not for just maybe one of the stupidest people who claims to be on a news network, but stupidest people ever.
I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps.
Now, you might think that's hyperbole, but it's really not. I mean, look, you might remember this from a few years ago.
You sit here and you're skeptical every day, and then you go to church and you get on your knees and you pray to an invisible man in the sky.
Invisible man in the sky.
You think that's a scam?
No, I don't. I'll tell you why.
This is Bill O'Reilly from Fox News, giving people a brilliant argument against atheism.
I'll tell you why. A man that was built by a man.
I'll tell you why it's not a scam, in my opinion. All right? Tide goes in, tide goes out. Never a miscommunication. You can't explain that.
Yes, and if we were in the Dark Ages, that might well be true. However, we've actually known for some considerable amount of time now that the tides are actually caused by the moon.
You can't explain it. Religion are the same thing. It doesn't matter if I can explain it.
It doesn't?
That doesn't mean that an invisible magic man in the sky is doing it.
And you're free to believe that. But when you insult...
Now, you might think that's actually a pretty high bar to cross. But hold my beer, says Russia Today.
By now you've probably heard that many different companies around the planet are working on what's called a Hyperloop, which is basically a transportation system that uses vacuum tube technology to race passengers along at crazy fast speeds.
Nothing wrong so far.
Richard Branson's Virgin is among those companies trying to do so. They've already conducted tests that have reached speeds of about 240 miles per hour, but it's still only a fraction of their ultimate goal, which is to speed people along in passenger pods that accelerate up to 600 miles per hour.
Okay, so they've got up to about the speed of high-speed trains so far?
Now this sounds great to me because who likes to waste time traveling someplace, you know? You just want to get to wherever you're going already, right? But there's always been a big question in my mind whenever I've read about these Hyperloops, and that is this. What the hell happens to your body when you go that fast in a vacuum tube? And the answer is, they don't know yet.
Yes, it's not like we can ask these people in a metal tube going at 600 miles per hour what the effects of this are on people's bodies or something, or these people, or these people, or these people going at about 20 times the speed of sound.
Even though they're working on building the things already, which sounds pretty insane to me. Which is why I was happy when I read that scientists at West Virginia's Rockefeller Neuroscience Institute are finally going to study what actually happens to the human body when it is subjected to such ridiculously fast speeds. In order to do so, the Institute plans to use wearable technologies like eye trackers and body sensors and electrocardiograms and whatnot to measure and quantify all that might happen to someone traveling 600 miles per hour through a vacuum tube.
Well, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen to them at 600 miles per hour, but these people aren't going about 600 miles per hour. It's about 1,000 kilometers per hour, but 27,000 kilometers per hour.
They plan to continue to work with military personnel and athletes to study fatigue, resilience, and recovery, all those kinds of things.
A recent study from the Centers for Disease Control finds that over 100 million children are being exposed to harmful levels of stupidity in their own homes. Hear the debate about secondhand ignorance on the next In the Know.
They will also apply what's known as neuroergonomics, the study of the human brain in relation to behavioral performance in natural environments and settings.
I mean, this is so surreal. She's talking about how she's so sure that they're going to study the neural kinetics of people traveling at plane-type speeds, but it's just such a weird thing. She's claiming that the Virginia Hyperloop Center is going to study this.
They're going to use all this science to figure out what will happen to both Hyperloop passengers and operators alike.
No, this isn't the spoof. This isn't The Onion. This is Russia Today.
Which is great, because again, all these companies are already working on building Hyperloops everywhere around the globe, even though so far we aren't sure what really will happen to us if we use them.
Seriously, you put this side by side along with The Onion, and can you actually tell them apart?
After petitioning the state for the right to end the life of their 13-year-old brain-dead daughter, Jean Ann Wharton takes us beyond the facts.
They plan to continue to work with military personnel and athletes to study fatigue, resilience, and recovery, all those kinds of things.
Caitlin slipped into a persistent vegetative state, confining her almost entirely to her bed and Facebook.
She doesn't even have basic motor functions anymore. We literally have to drag her to the car to drive her to school in the morning.
They will also apply what's known as neuroergonomics, the study of the human brain in relation to behavioral performance in natural environments and settings.
These protesters say the groans and exasperated sighs Caitlin sometimes makes prove there is hope for recovery.
Which is why I was happy when I read that scientists at West Virginia's Rockefeller Neuroscience Institute are finally going to study what actually happens to the human body when it is subjected to such ridiculously fast speeds.
And what sort of rating do you think this video has? Why, about 3 out of 4 people who rated it gave it a thumbs up. And just so we're clear, that's a better rating than my original Hyperloop Busted video, which I think you'd agree has worn the test of time remarkably well. And it's a rating that is much better than the one where I debunked Elon Musk's idea of rockets replacing airplanes. An idea that would make the Hyperloop look like a well thought out idea of a modest and conservative engineer. In fact, I don't want to have a go, but it's just like, I've never understood this about the Elon Musk fanboys, is the dumber the idea, the more vigorously they defend it. But yeah, coming back to this was so bad it made my eyeballs pop out to the point where, no, I'm making a video debunking this bullshit now. Because while we might be on the cusp of a post-truth world, I'm not going quietly into that void.